Stampers, this is Jeannie Moss. I'd like to welcome you to my studio here in the Bluegrass state of Kentucky. I'm the Bluegrass Stamper, and today we're going to be making this cute little hedgehog split front card. So this is not as hard as it looks. You will need some supplies. You'll need a card base. This is Old Olive. It is 5.5 by 8.5, and it's scored in half at 4 1/4. This is the panel that will go inside. It is 4 by 5 1/4. This piece of white is 1 7/8 by 3 3/4, and then you're going to need some scrap, a little scrap of white. We're going to be using the Happy Hedgehogs stamp set, and we're going to be using the Hedgehog Builder Punch that coordinates with this stamp set. So those are the things we'll be using today. We'll also need a scrap of crumb cake. And I've just got a piece out of my scraps for that. So let's get started. We're going to start by doing a little bit of stamping. On our white piece, we are going to stamp the tree. I'm going to stamp that in the Memento black ink. When I ink up these larger stamps, I like to lay them face up and pat them with the ink pad. That way I'm looking at it, I can see that I'm getting good coverage. And then I'm going to just stamp that on this piece of white. So there's our tree. And now I'm going to color the tree. I'm going to use blends. And I've already done some of this so that you don't have to watch that. So here's the one that I've almost completed coloring. I've colored the tree trunk in pecan pie. I've done the leaves in the Old Olive. And this is Daffodil Delight. This is the dark Daffodil Delight. And I colored my flowers with the dark Daffodil Delight. Just like that. I like to use the little bullet point end. It's a hard point, so it doesn't get damaged like the marker tip will. Then I'm using pumpkin pie, the dark pumpkin pie. I'm coloring the center of the flower, and then I'm just marking over those little shading lines that you can see. And that just gives it a little more dimension. Then I'm using the light Old Olive to color the leaves. And there we go. I also stamped two of the little butterflies on a little white scrap, and I colored those with the same Daffodil Delight and the pumpkin pie, and I fussy cut those. So those have already been cut out, colored and cut out. So I cut those out with my scissors. We call that fussy cutting. If you've ever had a class, then you'll know why, because people fuss when they have to do it. So I've got those ready to go. And now we're ready to work on our card. So we've got the card base, and we're going to do some cutting on that. So we're going to let me move these out of the way. Get this down where you can see it. Hopefully you can see that. So I'm going to come in this direction. I'm going to come to the 1 inch mark, and I'm going to close that flap. I'm going to hold it over here. I'm going to close that flap, and I'm going to cut off 1 inch. So there's a 1 inch strip. Then I'm going to move into 2 inches, and I'm going to cut off another strip that is 2 inches. So I have these 3 pieces now. Now this piece that came out of the middle, this is the one that's 2 inches. We're going to do a little bit of work on that one. We're going to put it in and we're going to cut it at 3 7/8. That's 2 little marks before the 4 right here. So 2 7/8. And then this is just an extra piece, so we don't need that. You can put that to the side. And these are the pieces that we will have. We're finished with our cutting. So our next step is going to be to take this strip and we're going to stamp some grass on it. I used Old Olive and the little grass stamp from the very same set. All of these stamps are from that Happy Hedgehog set. So here's one that I've already done. I have stamped the grass on there. And this piece we're going to mount our tree, and that should fit right on there. So we'll just put some adhesive on the back of that. We're just going to line that up so we have a little bit of a green border around it and secure that. So we have this piece and we have this piece. The next thing that we have is our piece that's 4 by 5 1/4. That's going to be the inside of our card. Okay, so we're just going to lay that just to the side for a little bit. And what we're going to do is line this piece up with the bottom of our card. And we're going to take adhesive and we're going to put some adhesive right across the bottom of this piece. And we're going to lay that down so that it's about, I don't know, that might be 1/4 inch, maybe not even that much from the bottom, and secure that. And then we'll take that, we'll put adhesive on the top of that, we'll close our flap. We'll line this up with the bottom again. And then we'll seal that down on the top. So there's our fold, and that's our split panel. Now the next thing we'll do, we'll take this piece and we'll put it inside and center it. Then we can close our card. Now the reason I don't tape this down is because if I make a mistake, which I could very easily do, I'll be able to turn it over. So that's why I'm just laying it in there, closing this flap, and now I can see where I need to stamp my sentiment. So this says, finding a friend is the best discovery of all. And now I'll put that right in here. So there is our sentiment, and that was in early espresso. And now when this dries, it is ready to go inside the card. All right, and we are coming right along. We've only got a couple things left to do. We need our hedgehog, and so I've used that same early espresso ink, and I've stamped our little hedgehog on this scrap of crumb cake. Now you'll notice I have him at this end with his nose right close to the edge, and the reason is because now he will fit very nicely into the punch. So now I can line him up. And punch him out. So now we have him. I'm going to put him on the card. I'm going to put him right here, but you can see that part of him is going to be in this area where it's opening, so we don't want to put any dimensionals there. So I'll put a couple of dimensionals at the very bottom of him because I don't want him to seal our card shut. So I've got a couple of dimensionals right at the bottom. And now I'm going to line him up and press him down. Now you can see that there's nothing here that will keep our card from opening. We've got our two little butterflies. I took a little mini dimensional for this and put on one of these butterflies. And I put one of them right up here. And then the other one, I put a little bit of our multi-purpose glue. And I just glued him right down here. So the last thing for this card is a little bit of embellishment. And I'm using these loose daisy embellishments. So this is what they look like. They're so cute. And there are like 300 of them in this little box. They are not self-adhesive. So what I do is I just take my glue and I'm just going to put a little dot of glue in some places here. And then I'll take my take your pick tool and that putty in, and I've already pulled out some of those. Oops, you take the lid off. And I will just put these right over that glue and hold them down. And there you have it. There is our cute little Happy Hedgehogs split front card. I hope you've enjoyed this project. If you have any questions, you can email me at bluegrassstamper@gmail.com. If you'd like to see more of my projects, my website is www.bluegrassstamper.com. There's a Shop Now button on my website, and if you need any supplies, I would love for you to shop with me. I appreciate every single order, and thank you so much for joining me. Goodbye.